Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give us follows on X at Real Zander and at JF McMullen. And the 2025 schedule is officially released, everybody. The logistics are in, Johnny Mac, and we know what the Birds are doing. How you doing on this Thursday morning, brother?
Yeah, we got names to faces, so the overreaction starts. It's the toughest schedule of all time. The league hates the Eagles. Here we go. We're off and running. The reigning Super Bowl champs, you got names to faces now. Unfortunately, we're going to play that's a win, that's a loss. And as always, I'm going to tell people I'm doing it live. I'm Bill O'Reilly in this thing. Haven't done it. So
you're going off the top of the dome for the win-loss, Johnny Mac?
Yep. Going off the top of the dome. So for entertainment purposes only, don't bet your mortgages on this. It's meaningless.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm going to pull up the schedule for everybody to see, and I know many people have probably already seen it, but I do want to flash it on the screen for those who are watching and didn't get a chance to look at it, or maybe you're busy or at work or whatever the case may be. So I'll pull that up on the screen right now. John, what are your first, before we do the win-loss stuff, we'll do it. We have plenty of time to do that, but what are some of your takeaways on just the schedule as a whole? Not a lot of back-to-back home games.
None.
Zero. None, right? Is it zero?
Zero
back-to-back home games. That's surprising to me. You got the Commanders. We talked about that a little bit. 16 and 18 with Buffalo sandwiched in, and then the last game is the home game, which is kind of not ideal because maybe it doesn't matter by that point. Now maybe it will, but you kind of lose that home game, the meaning. Now it could matter big, obviously. You got Black Friday. They're playing games on 5 out of 7 days of the week. Johnny Mac, Tuesday and Wednesday are the only days the Eagles do not have a game slotted. What are some of your takeaways on the schedule?
Yeah, and that's only because they're not playing on Tuesday or Wednesday, at least schedule-wise. We'll see. There could be, some, snow games, weather game, blah, blah, blah. So you never know what happens. But, you hit some of them. No back-to-back home games. No long road trips either. They have 2 back-to-back road trips at the Giants on October 9th, which is a Thursday, and at Minnesota on October 19th. So even that, they have extra time to get ready for Minnesota, coming off the Thursday game against a lesser opponent in theory. And then late in the season, you have the first game against Washington, which is down there, December 20th. And shout out to Mike Gill. He brought that up. He said, hey, yeah, they might do Washington twice in 3 weeks, and they did. Week 18.
I don't get that one, John, from the NFL perspective.
Well, they're betting heavily that Washington's going to be relevant. But that's the thing when people say this is the hardest schedule, and it's the same. You can't have it both ways. If you don't think Washington's going to be that good, then all of a sudden. But you look at that on paper, that 3-game stretch in the season looks like the most difficult stretch on the Eagles' schedule. You got the home and home against Washington, bookending the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo. Look, I guarantee you it's more. I can't guarantee you because the number 1 seed could be in play for Buffalo. They're going to have the AFC East wrapped up at least a month earlier. I mean, that is the easiest division in football. The New York Jets, come on. Hopefully they start going in the right direction. Miami looks like a dead organization, dead team, dead coach, dead man walking at coach and Mike McDaniel. And they're the second best team in the division. And New England's, they're going to be better with Mike Vrabel, no question about it, but they got a long way to go. So Buffalo is going to win that division. They might win it by Thanksgiving. If there's one team I'm going to guarantee wins their division this year, it's Buffalo.
Yeah, that's I'm with you. That's pretty easy. So you're saying that game might mean nothing. Which would obviously be beneficial for the Birds.
Yeah. So this is the kind of thing about the schedule I always warn people about. That might not even matter to Buffalo, and they might be sitting. It depends on the situation. Like they could be battling someone for the number 1 seed, playing all out and doing everything possible, and it's a really difficult game. But you can see how it can go either way. And then with Washington, the NFL's betting and saying this is a good team, and maybe they take the step back. And if that's the case, all of a sudden what looks tough on paper doesn't look nearly as tough in real life when it gets here. So it can go obviously either way, but yeah, when I look at it, I didn't see the daunting aspect of it that everybody else saw. I said, you know what? They did a nice job when it came to what looks like the significantly better teams. And the Eagles, like I said, and some of these teams might be taking a step back. I think Kansas City's taking a step back.
Yeah, I think Detroit takes a step back with 2 new coordinators.
I think they might take a step back. I think Minnesota may take a step back because of the quarterback situation. I think, and then there's some teams that might take a step up. I think the Chargers might be more difficult than people think.
Yep, I agree.
Monday night, December 8th. So I think they're going to get a little bit better. I think Denver's a team. Albert Breer does scheduling story every year, and he talks to the league office and the guys who make the schedule, and they specifically mentioned Chicago, who the Eagles also play on Black Friday, and Denver is rising teams in their eyes. So maybe they're better than they looked or are or people perceive to be.
Yeah.
But again, the league doesn't get this stuff right all the time.
No, I know they don't. But I do think the general quality of opponent this year is pretty good. Like, you're playing pretty good opponents all throughout. I think the worst opponent you had is probably the Raiders or the Bears, maybe, depending on how good the Bears are.
Giants.
Well, the Giants, yeah, that's true. Well, the interesting part about the Giants, John, is you get them both before the bye week. So, I mean, how you like to say some teams feel like they have a shot early in the year. They're not going to be with Tommy DeVito in week 18 by that point. I'm not saying they have a chance. I'm just saying that.
I don't think you have to worry. That's good for I don't think you have to worry about Tommy DeVito playing this year because you have Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart.
Yeah, no. I was just saying end of the year, it might look a whole lot different, that team, than they do in the first 8 weeks.
Yeah. But still, I mean, again, it's the NFL. That's a team the Eagles should handle pretty easily, have handled pretty easily over recent years. So I can't get all that worked up about the New York Giants. Las Vegas, same thing. They're going to be better because they have a competent quarterback. So everybody's better on paper for the most part, with the exception of the really good teams because they suffer the attrition. One of them, unfortunately, is the Eagles. But you mentioned Detroit. Again, losing both coordinators. That's some significant attrition when it comes to the coaching staff, especially as highly regarded as those 2 guys were. Minnesota going in a different direction, losing their quarterback. Again, you can talk about Sam Darnold and crapping out in big spots, whatever. He had a great season, won 14 games. You really think JJ McCarthy's going to replicate that season that he had as a rookie? Essentially, not a rookie, but didn't play at all last year. Didn't practice. You think
I just wonder if that roster's good enough, man, good enough to help him along his first year to at least be competent.
Yeah, well, all right. I get by him being competent, but that makes them much easier to beat because Sam wasn't competent last year. He was
good. Yeah,
he was darn good until the end of the season. So, they're probably going to come back. So, that's how the NFL works, and that's how it's designed to work. They're pushing everybody to the middle. The bad teams, they want to get better. The good teams, they want to get worse, and that's what happens.
That's parity, man. They want that in the league, no doubt about it. I'm going to get everybody's take real quick in the chat. We'll go to it in a little bit. We'll get to our win-loss, but What do you got, everybody in the chat? Give me your record predictions. I'll pull a couple of them up, and we'll talk about them before we do our win-loss. John, the Week 9 bye, I like that. I think that's perfect spot, right, almost right dead in the middle. You got 8 games before the bye, 9 games after the bye. You know, you're 4 home, 4 away before the bye, and you're 4 home, 5 away after the bye. So I like the Week 9 bye. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. Hated last week's bye, and everybody, well, it worked out. Is it? Yeah, they persevered. It was a bad bye. It's always a bad bye when it's early in the season. I mean, people have a tough time admitting that. Who cares? I mean, they overcame it, but you don't want your bye on week 5. You want your bye, and you know, week 9 is okay. You want it even later than that usually because you know, you generally have some banged up people later in the season. So for me, as late as possible is a good bye week, and this is not a bad bye week. Last year was a bad bye week. And again, when you're really good, none of these things matter. And that's what happened to the Eagles last year. None of these things really matter. Road games, no back-to-back home games. If they're as good as they were last year, none of it's going to matter. But, you know, if they're more getting pushed down in the parity range,
right,
a bunch of it is going to matter.
Going to be good. Going to be good to see how it all shakes out. I do think overall the schedule's a little bit harder, but Johnny Mack, not too concerned about it. I like it, John. A little bit of voice of reason. He's like, "Hey guys, take a break. It's not too bad." So we'll see. We'll run through each game. John, are you ready to do our win-loss? You got any other tidbits you want to get out there on the schedule before we go win-loss here? What are you thinking?
Going back to that NFL schedule about them thinking Denver and Chicago. Not that it's news, but they did on record say the 2 biggest brands remain, and this will piss Eagles fans off, will remain the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs, which will piss some Eagles fans off. But that's long term, and you know, who cares ultimately?
Chiefs are all over primetime, man, this year. I will say that's one thing, John, the NBA or the NFL, I feel like does where they have great players. I mean, Kansas City is a small market, but it's dominates the NFL because of how good they are, obviously, and Patrick Mahomes. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think they go too far. Like I think they should start propping up some other teams. But you know,
yeah, see, wait, real quick though, but it's funny you said this because I was reading this guy on, I forget who it was, on X, and he was talking about the NBA lottery, and he's like, this is where the NFL is destroying these leagues because, you know, the NFL holds a draft in small town Green Bay, Wisconsin, and there's freaking 1 million people coming through, and the NBA can't get people excited about jack shit because all they want to do is to have the Lakers and the Celtics be good. But I don't know. I see both sides.
yeah, well, I don't know why people want to compare the NBA and the NFL, but
Yeah,
I
they're
mean
different beasts.
they're different levels from a popularity standpoint. You know, the NBA is number 2. Better comparison would be against Major League Baseball, which they've surpassed in, you know, recent years. But yeah, I mean, nobody competes with the NFL. So pointing out the NFL control, and by the way, they're lying about those Green Bay numbers. There's no freaking way. No,
I don't
nobody's
know if it was
back.
1 million.
No,
It was
no,
something
no.
big though.
They said outrageous numbers. Nobody's fact checking that. I mean, as soon as they said that I'm not blaming you.
Yeah,
mean,
I did remember it was a big
it's
number.
absurd. Nobody's there taking tickets and they just make shit up. But I digress. There's a
Well, I
lot
do
of
think it was free, right? It's free to go.
I believe it is, but
Yeah, I
I
think it's. I was
don't.
gonna say.
But my point is they're fudging the numbers, and that's fine. No, nobody cares. Nobody fact check. There was a shitload of people there. And obviously Green Bay is not a typical market from a, you know, large standpoint, but you know, the Packers have this history, and bottom line is I just go back to the Pittsburgh Seattle Super Bowl. And I said if any year was going to have a downtick in ratings, it was going to be Pittsburgh Seattle. And it didn't. You know, if you're good, you know, people love the sport and they love that part of it. So you can be, if you're good anywhere, you're going to be on national television. But I think they should be a little bit more proactive. But while I say that, now they have flex scheduling, so it doesn't really matter. They can use it twice between weeks 5 and 10, and at the league's discretion during weeks 11 to 17. So
Right.
11 to 17 specifically, they can just move somebody out and move somebody in if they're playing really well.
And who do you think are good candidates for a flex for the Eagles? Obviously, they had that Week 16 game. It says 4:30 or 8, so they haven't even decided on that one yet.
Yeah, well, all the games for the Eagles if they're playing well. So anything that's not already, obviously, you can't move Black Friday.
Yeah, but here's the problem. After the bye in weeks, Green Bay's night game.
Yeah, most of it's
Detroit's
already
night
night
game.
game.
Yeah, Dallas is 4:25, so maybe
That's not going anywhere. That's
not going anywhere, right? You got the Bears is Black Friday. That's not changing. Monday Night Football with the Chargers. That's not changing. I doubt they would flex a Raiders game unless the Raiders are somehow good. And then you have the last 3 games. You got two Washingtons and the Bills.
Yeah, and they're both Washington Saturday, the first game, that ain't moving. Buffalo's 4:25, that ain't moving. And week 18, if both the Eagles, that'll be the last game. They don't schedule the last week because they want the biggest game in the night window. So yeah, they're already in big time windows except the Las Vegas game. So the Raiders would have to be better than expected. And if the Eagles are good, obviously they'll pump that game up. But very unlikely anything gets black slate because everything's already in big time windows.
Yeah. So 5 primetime games for the Eagles. You know what's so this is a personal gripe with me because I like TV broadcast. Like I like that stuff. I like, certain guys who call games and certain color commentators. One Sunday night game. I mean, I know the Thursday opener uses the Sunday night crew. I believe that's on NBC, that Thursday night opener.
Yeah,
it's not on Amazon.
It is.
So, but outside of that, only one Sunday night game, which is week 11 versus the Lions, which is going to be a great one. But I do wish I did feel like the Eagles deserved another Sunday night football game.
I mean, A, I don't like him for obvious reasons, but B, I think people underscore the 4:25 window.
Yeah, it's a big rating window.
Like it often does better ratings if it's a big game than the night game. If it's,
mine was strictly broadcast based there.
Yeah,
John. But I like the Fox crew. The Fox crew is not bad.
But they bite for those 4. That's why I say they move in that second Dallas game.
Yeah, right.
Which is at 4:25. Now 4 they'll move. 4:25 they won't, because they fought for that game. Same thing with Buffalo, week 17, and who knows? As I already said, that game could be meaningless. I would bet on it being meaningless from one standpoint or the other. But they're probably not going to move that game as well. So I think people underrate the 4:25. And then I think the important thing is standalone more than prime time. So like Black Friday, like that's a big deal. They're the only ticket in town. And that's a 3:00 game. So yeah, it depends how you look at it from the standpoint of, people believe it's the biggest slot. It is the biggest slot in general, but I think it's a little bit overrated.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, we'll get into our win-loss prediction in a little bit. There is a couple notes, though. I will read out to some people from on each game, and I can do them as we go over each game. But let me see if I can pull them up. I had them written down here. We'll do them as we go through. John, let's do the win-loss officially starting right now.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Everybody get ready. This is John's favorite show of the year. All right. Schedule is released. All right, John, let's do this. Week 1, Dallas, Thursday Night Football.
I guess I got to
Eagles are 4-0 in opening games in the Nick Sirianni era. They've never lost the home opener. Johnny Mac, what do you got? Week 1 versus the Cowboys.
5-0 in the Nick Sirianni era. First time they've opened at home since 2019. First time they've opened at home against Dallas since 1970, by the way. Dallas comes here. A lot of people bring up whatever it was, 2000, but that was in Dallas. So first time they've opened up here since 1970, and they're going to have to see the banner drop or unfurl or whatever, and they're going to suffer a loss on Thursday, September 4th.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Eagles beat the Cowboys in the home opener. Banner night at the Link. Emotions running high. Crowd is going to be loud and fired up. I got the Eagles winning that one big. John, then they go at the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead, week 2. That's a tough one. Mahomes currently has one losing streak, John, in the entire NFL, and that's 2 straight to the Philadelphia Eagles. The only team he has an active losing streak against. What do you think of week 2 at the Chiefs, Eagles versus Chiefs?
Yeah, this to me is the toughest game to predict on the schedule. For number one, it's going to be Kansas City's home opener. So, I kind of mentioned my immediate reaction yesterday on the show was the Eagles are going to win the game. I think Kansas City is a declining team, but I didn't factor in the other stuff. People get fired up for home openers. Arrowhead's a difficult place to play to begin with. And I do think the Eagles are the better football team. So if you want to blame somebody, I have this as a loss. If you want to blame somebody, blame BLG because he turned me on the air.
BLG.
So I have this as a loss. And it's not that big of a deal. I do think there will be some hiccups early in the season like there were last year as you shift offensive coordinators yet again. Plus all the attrition on defense as Big starts to figure it out. I think you have a chance to have some hiccups early in the season. And as it'll be more important to get things going after the bye week in week 9.
I'm going to take a win there for me. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be that great this year. I think they're going to take a step back. I'm going Eagles win in Arrowhead to start 2-0.
All right.
Next is versus the Rams at home. That's a 1 p.m. game, John, in Philly, September 21st. Obviously, Rams played in Philly in the playoffs last year. What do you think of that game?
Yeah, kind of the opposite. I think the Rams are a good team. They're getting better. Obviously, they have to figure out how to stop the run and Saquon Barkley. At home, though, I'm taking the Eagles. It's very difficult for me to go away from the Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. And that's the case here. And I think that's a good win because I think the Rams are going to be a good team this year.
I'm going to go the other direction here. This is going to be my first loss of the year for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think you're going to come off a little bit of an emotional high after that Chiefs game in Arrowhead. It's early in the year, so the weather is going to be in LA's favor. They're a warm weather team. I'm going to take the Rams here on the road, getting their revenge from the playoffs. So the Birds will start 2-1 for both of us. John has a loss to the Chiefs, and I have a loss to the Rams there. So, John, week 4 now at the Bucks. Here we go again, John.
Nightmare.
At the Bucks in September for a 1 p.m.
September. It's going to be 90 degrees. It's going to be humid. Hopefully, a hurricane's not coming, so it's the humidity is not 100%. It goes down to 80 or whatever. But look, Tampa's had their number. Todd Bowles has had their number. It's September in Tampa. Unfortunately, the way the schedule has worked out, the Eagles keep having to go down there. They don't handle it well. So I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You're going Bucks here. So you're starting 2-2. All right. You got the Bucks winning. Now, one quick note I wanted to give on the Rams game, and I'll give another note here on the Tampa game. John has the Eagles beating the Rams and losing to the Bucks. The Eagles have won 9 of the last 10 games versus the Rams. And McVay.
And they own Sean McVay. Yeah.
McVay is 1-5 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So you're correct about that. They own Sean McVay. And then the note on Tampa that I have is Jalen Hurts 1-4 versus the Bucks, which is his worst performance versus any team in the league. So not great. The Tampa kind of has our number. I'm going to predict a win, Johnny Mac. I think the Eagles are going to exercise that demon this year as they've done so in the past with other demons. I got the Birds winning that game in Tampa Bay, moving to 3-1. You got them at 2-2 through 4.
You better hope the weatherman, John Bolaris. Where are you, John Bolaris?
Yeah, we need John Bolaris.
Better hope the weatherman comes up on the positive side of that game.
So I got 3-1. Johnny Mac at 2-2 through week 4. John, moving into week 5, you got Broncos coming into Philly. I think that's a pretty good game there. Broncos, they're getting a little bit better. One of those sleeper teams that could be better. I'm still not sold. I won't lie to you. What do you think of that game? It's a 1 p.m. game, first game in October 5th.
Yeah.
One note, Broncos haven't won in Philly since 1986.
Yeah, by the way, who gives a shit with those? No offense to you, but
No,
they
I'm
never
just kidding.
play
No,
here.
yeah, I don't care.
They never play here. I hate those. I hate those. Like, yeah, you barely play team once every 8 years. So Pittsburgh, is a big one. They haven't won here since the 60s, but they never play.
My note.
They never play here.
God took a big shit on my note. Come on, John.
Now, well, because everybody does it, and it's like it sounds impressive, but it ends up being like you have the games. The number of games is probably like 4 games.
Yeah, true. No, I don't have the number. I was just trying to give people some info that they can use, that they can take and be a smarter fan, John.
Well, I'm trying to give them the context of that info to make them a smarter fan. So I don't care anything about that, but I'm not buying in. I just mentioned the NFL is hyped up on Denver. On the record, hyped up about Denver. I'm not as hyped up on Denver. I think that's a pretty easy win for the Eagles. Big Fangio against a young quarterback in Lincoln Financial Field. I'm going to take Vic every time. So bounce back 3-2.
There you go, 3-2 for the Birds. I have a win there as well, which puts them at 4-1 for me. Good start for the Birds on my schedule. 4-1. Johnny Mac has them 3-2 to start. All right, week 6, John, at New York. This is, what is that, a Thursday night game, I believe? That week 6 game? Yeah, Thursday night football in New York. Johnny Mac, what do you think?
Well, who's the worst team on Alabama's schedule this year? Do you know yet, Zander?
I don't know yet. I do not.
It's probably Mercer or some bullshit that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not exactly Mercer, but this is the easiest run on the Eagles' schedule, 2 or 3 weeks with the New York Giants. They own them. They have owned them. It's not going to change. They're getting a little bit better. And they're skid because I'm 0-2 on the road. This is their first road win of the season.
There you go. So you got them 4-2 after that game. Week 7, Johnny Mac, you're moving in at the Minnesota Vikings. This is an interesting game. Haven't beaten them in the regular season in a while. So, but you obviously, you've had some playoff games versus them. What do you think of at the Minnesota Vikings week 7, Johnny Mac?
Yeah, I think this is a home game. If it were here, I'd pick the Eagles. If it's there, I'm picking the Vikings. Just a really difficult place to play, communication-wise. Very loud building. Brian Flores is going to confuse people. It'll be, because I'm not high on Minnesota's quarterback. It'll be a close game. It'll be a 50-50 game. So you could steal it at the end, I think. But, if I'm playing the odds here on May 15th, whatever it is, it's I'll slightly lean towards Minnesota. Don't have a big feel, but slightly.
Okay, so I'll put loss though. I'll put loss for you.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go loss there for Johnny Mac. John moves to 4-3. You got the Eagles.
And by the way, if they do lose that game and they're 4-3, the sky is going to be falling. But calm down; it's going to get better.
Nah, I don't think the sky should be falling at that point. But I hear you. You're probably right. I'm taking a win. I'm sorry, I can't pick JJ McCarthy to beat the defending Super Bowl champs. I'm going 6-1. Boy, this is starting to feel a little too 6-1. Good night. Jeez, Zander. All right, John's got him 4-3. I got him 6-1 through 7. That's not good. Week 8, Johnny Mac again at Giants at home. What do you got?
Yeah, this is homecoming. 5-3. Eagles get back on the right part of it before the bye week. Sweep the season series against the Giants, and head to the bye week to do some self-scouting and fix some things, as what happened last year.
You guys know I'm not picking. I'm not picking the Giants to win. So I got them 7-1 going into the bye week. John, how delusional am I at 7-1 going into the bye week?
I think somewhat delusional because
Okay.
again, you remember you have another new coordinator, you have another, you have all these changes on defense. They're going to lose some games, and I think most of the games they're going to lose are going to be early. And some of their toughest matchups are one of the issues, and I should have mentioned this about the schedule, is most of the really good teams, at least on paper from last year, they have to play on the road. So they're at Kansas City, at Tampa, at Minnesota. And then after you have at Green Bay, at the Chargers, and obviously the Commanders are home and home. But, and then if you talk about difficult places to play, at Kansas City, Arrowhead, famous for the noise. At Minnesota, famous
Right.
for the noise. At Tampa Bay, that's a weather game. People talk about Buffalo later in the season. Weather can go the other way. You saw it last year. That's a weather game in September. You got to cross your fingers that it's not brutally hot.
Yeah, remember last year they were coming off the hurricane, right? So it was like a little
it
extra
was even
humid.
worse because of
Yeah,
the
it was even
humidity.
worse, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're being a little bit too kind early. There's some difficult hurdles, but the good news is I think they're going to fix some things again at the bye week and come out playing their
Yeah,
best
I do think
football.
I agree. I'm definitely giving them some slack there, but I think some of the teams they have coming in as well have some of those same hurdles, different, but in a similar fashion. The one game my least confident win in my first 7 wins before the bye week is the Buccaneers, because I actually think the Bucs got better and they already have our number, and that game's in Tampa, so that's my least confident win there.
Well, flip it.
But I'm thinking Jalen exercises that demon, John. He seems like every demon he has, at one point, he addresses it, exercises it, and then says, "Is that what y'all wanted to see?" That's happening versus Tampa this year, John.
Nobody exercises a demon in the NFL in September.
That's true.
It's a
But
nice win.
he's 1-4 versus Tampa, so he's got to beat them.
Well, he already beat him once, and he beat him
1-4.
pretty handily down there. So did he exercise the demon when he beat him handily in the one game they won down there? Not really.
All right, that's true. I don't think Jalen's going to get the win there. So 7-1 through the bye. Johnny Mac's got him 5-3. John, week 9 is the bye week, and coming out of the bye, week 10, you got Monday Night Football, so you get an extra day, which is nice. All right, Eagles have won the last 3 versus them, and this will be the 5th out of the 6th game in a solo time slot. So this is becoming a pretty good marquee matchup. What do you got? Eagles, Packers in Green Bay, John, on Monday Night Football.
You're all going to get gaslighted with the tush push bowl here, especially after what happens next week. But yeah, I think the Eagles win the game. Tough road win. I think they start. I think the bye week helps. And I think they get back on track and win that football game at Green Bay. Disappointed in Green Bay last year. Thought they were ready to take the next step. Disappointed in Jordan Love. Disappointed in that receiving core. So I think they have a lot of things to fix in the offseason. Probably not going to fix them all. Still, to me, they're the 3rd best team in that division, and they're closer to Chicago than they are to Detroit. So I'm picking the Eagles in that one.
Yeah, nothing about Jordan Love scares me. I'm picking the Eagles to win that game. 8-1 coming out of the bye. John's got him 6-3 through week 10, through the first 9 games. Week 11, John, this is a tough battle here. Detroit Lions, Sunday Night Football. Hurts is 2-0 versus the Lions, and the team has averaged 41 points a game versus them. How about that? John, what do you think? Week 11, Sunday Night Football, Eagles, Lions in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we finally get to see Eagles Lions. It's not as exciting as it would have been last year with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn still there, even with all the injuries, if that sort of manifested itself in the playoffs, but it did not. We get to see it in the regular season on Sunday night. I'm picking the Lions, but I'm not picking the Lions for the reason many will think. I'm picking the Lions because I don't have any home losses, and I can't find a home loss, and they're going to lose one. And the only one I can come up with is Detroit. So this is probably a game they should win, but I don't think they're going undefeated at home. There's generally one hiccup where they probably should win, but they don't.
It's a good point by you about the home win. I don't have a home loss right now as I'm looking.
Yeah, so I'm picking Detroit. I could pick Washington late. It might be that, but that would be worse. So I'm gonna pick Detroit, but it can go either way. Obviously, I think Detroit's gonna take a step back, even if Aiden Hutchinson is completely healthy, simply because their coordinators aren't going to be as good. And that makes a difference. But I got to find one home loss, and this is it.
All right, I'm going to take a win. I don't think the Detroit Lions are going to be that good this year. I got them 9-1. This is starting to feel lofty for me. I'm just going with my gut on each game. I don't think the Lions are going to beat the Eagles in Philly. I really don't. John's got a loss. So John's 6-4 through the first 10 games. I'm 9-1. Good night. Week 12, Johnny Mac, at Dallas. All right, Eagles ended their 6-year losing streak in Dallas last season. They've won the last 3 of 4 versus them. This has been a big letdown, John, the whole Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts thing. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been started for 4 years. They've only played 3 games versus each other. So kind of a letdown. I'm excited. Hopefully they get 2 games versus each other this year. Week 12 in Dallas, John, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be that good this year. So I'm going to the Eagles kind of, you talk about exercise their demons. They had a really difficult time winning in Dallas. They finally exercised that demon. So I'm going to pick the sweep for the Eagles. I think they find a way to win as they start to kick into gear late in the season.
I think the Eagles are going to lose this game, folks. I think the Eagles are going to split with Dallas this year in Dallas. The Cowboys will get a feel-good win. I got them at 9-2. John's got a win in Dallas, sweeping the Cowboys. He's got them at 7-4. So that's where we are through week 12, through 11 games. John, week 13, the Bears game, Black Friday. Eagles won 6 straight versus the Bears. What do you think that week 13 Black Friday game?
Yeah, I think this is an easy one for the Eagles. I'm not buying into the Chicago hype, as anyone who listens to this show knows. I think they're going to be better, but I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the Eagles level. So I think this is, as NFL games go, this is one of the easier games, I think, on their schedule.
Okay, so you got a win here. You're moving them to 8-4. Pretty good. The season is shaping up nicely. If Johnny Mac's correct predictions are correct, 8-4 through week 13 with a win, sweep of the Cowboys and a win over the Bears there. I got a win as well here. I think as much as we debated Ryan Poles this week, John, or maybe that was last week, whenever that was, I don't think they're going to be good enough to beat the Eagles. So I'm going to go 10-2 now. Eagles are going to beat the Bears on Black Friday. Let's move into week 14, John, at the Chargers. Monday Night Football. Now, the beauty of this one is you're coming off a Black Friday game through to Monday night. So you kind of get a couple. It's not a full mini bye, but enough to feel like a mini bye. I think coming off that Black Friday, they'll have the weekend and then the weekend again and then a Monday night game. What do you think? Week 14 at the Chargers, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't know, something about the Chargers that bothers me, and I don't know what it is. I think they have a very good quarterback. They have some issues at, the kid they drafted in the first round can't catch the football, Quentin Johnson. That's a bad sign. So I don't like the way they're getting better on the offensive line, getting better. Harbaugh's a good coach, but he's sort of antiquated. So, this could be a spot where they could jump up and upset the Eagles. But I'm picking the Eagles in this game. And by the way, they will completely take over. Eagles fans will completely take over SoFi Stadium.
Absolutely. So John's got a win there, moving to 9-4 on the season. I have a loss here. Okay. I think the Chargers, you mentioned it, John, before we started the win-loss. They're one of the teams I think that has the chance to take a significant jump forward. Doesn't mean they will, but I put this down as a loss. I think it's a tough road game in LA. I got the Eagles losing this and moving to 10-3 on the year. John's got them 9-4 through week 14. So we've kind of come back. All right. Now we're a little bit closer. Week 15, Johnny Mac, Raiders. Raiders haven't beaten the Eagles since 2001. Now, again, it might fall into the same category. How much have they played? But what do you got here? Week 15, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, this is another one of the easier games on their schedule. If they have, it's probably, I would say, Giants at home, Raiders at home, maybe Bears at home are the three easiest games. And I think they'll pretty much rubber stamp it against the Raiders. Pretty as easy as it gets from an NFL perspective. Just not a good football team.
I'm with you. I think the Eagles are going to win that game pretty handily. So John's got them 10-4 through week 15. All right, through 14 ball games. I got them 11-3 through week 15 through 14 ball games with a win over the Raiders. Then you got 3 games left. All right, John will start week 16. That's in Washington. It's that Saturday game before Christmas. Eagles won 7 of the last 9, but that's all changed now with Jaden Daniels as their quarterback. What do you think? Eagles at Washington.
Well, I don't think they're going undefeated in the division. I have them sweeping the Giants and the Cowboys, so they're going to lose one game, and it's going to be at Washington. And, then they're going to win week 18, and we're going to see how it unfolds as far as tiebreakers and things like that. But I do think Washington's going to get one against them.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be the game in Landover.
Yep. I have that same thing there. I got the Eagles losing that game to the Commanders. Well, I believe they'll split that series just like I believe they'll split with the Cowboys and sweep the Giants. So I got the Eagles losing that as well. So John's got them at 10-5 through week 16. I got them at 11-4 through week 16 with 2 to go. All right, Johnny Mac, you got now your week 17 at Buffalo. See, and before you answer, I'm wondering if I'm going to change my prediction here because of what you told me about that AFC East, and you're 100% right about them, where the Bills could have this thing locked up early. What do you have week 17 at the Bills, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is why we shouldn't do this stuff, but we all do.
Yeah.
Because this will be determined by, do the Bills need the game? And it's very likely they won't need the game. But if they do need the game, I'm picking the Bills, if that makes sense. If they don't need the game, I'm picking the Eagles.
That's exactly where I feel. That's exactly where I am on it.
And, that will make a big difference. But, if we're just going on the spot and the Buffalo needs the game for this exercise, I got to pick Buffalo.
All right. So you're going to pick loss. Yeah. Just assume they need the game here. So you got 10-6 through week 17 with 1 to play. I'm going to go win here, but I had loss, and then you kind of shifted me because I don't know if they're going to need this thing.
Well, I'm with you.
Well, here's what I'm going to do.
They don't need it. They're not going to win.
I'm going to go win because we're going to do the exercise where we have to go up or down. And if I go loss, then I'm going to go up in that exercise. If I go win here, I'm going to probably go down in that exercise. So I'll put a win here. All right. Move them to 12-4. 12-4 on the year, which is pretty damn good. And then you got 1 game to play. John's got a loss. He's at 10-6 through week 17. So we're 2 games apart. All right. John, what do you got for week 18, the final? Commanders coming to Philly.
Yeah, they're going to split. So I had Washington winning down there. I have the Eagles winning up here. And I think probably the NFC East is going to be decided by the Buffalo game and whether Buffalo has to play or not, to be honest. So that's probably how it's going to shake out. But I do have them winning the game. So for this exercise, it's going to be 11-6 for me. And I'm definitely going up. I'm not going down this year.
Wow.
For our exercise. I'm definitely going up because there's a bunch of games I think they could win that I had them losing, starting with Kansas City. There's no game I say the Eagles can't win, even Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay would be the game I would say they're most likely to lose because of their history down there. But there's no game on the schedule where I say, well, they're not going to win this game. There's always logical losses, but that tells you, if people say, why do you have them at 11? Well, it's really difficult to win in the NFL, especially early with all the turnover. And I have them struggling a little bit early, getting better late. But there's no team where I would wake up the next day and say, "Oh, I'm surprised the Eagles beat that team." Um, and so some of the other losses, as I said, Kansas City, I'm leaning on intangibles. Home opener, I think the Eagles are the better team. You know, Minnesota, I'm leaning on JJ McCarthy being competent. I don't know if he's going to be competent, but that's what I'm leaning on. Um, you know, Washington down there. Are they gonna sweep Washington? I got them sweeping Dallas. Are they gonna go 6-0 in the division? I find that hard to
Yeah,
believe.
no. I got
So
two
there
division losses this year. One to the Commanders, one to the Cowboys.
so there's no game where I say, well, they're not gonna win this game. The closest would be at Tampa Bay on September 28th.
Good stuff, John. So you got 11-6, and then the up or down. For those who don't know, Jody Mack brought this to the show. It was a great exercise that we do for this win or loss. It's if you had to go up or down with wins, all right. If you had to pick, what would you do? John, you said you're going to go up, so you're going to go up to 12-5 if you had to go up or down.
Yep, going up.
And then I'm going to go down. So my final is 13-4. And I'm going to go down to 12-5 if I had to go up. I think 14 wins is pretty unlikely this year. Tough schedule, coming off a Super Bowl, shorter offseason than most. I'm going down to 12-5. So, John, with our up and down exercise, we both end up at 12-5. Our original predictions are 2 wins apart. You have 11-6, and I got 13-4. Pretty good though, John. I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, I just got there a different way. I think they're going to struggle a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
more than you, and get better as the season wears on. I think, Bake will start to figure it out more on defense. I think they'll get better after the bye week. And I think they're set up pretty well on the bye after the bye week because I think some of the road games, I think the tougher road games are early. They got 3 really tough road games before the bye. After the bye, you got some difficult games on paper but I think Green Bay's a little overrated. I think Dallas is a little overrated. I think the Chargers are a little bit overrated. So I think there's opportunities there. And like I said, Buffalo is not overrated, but I find it hard to believe they're going to need that game to win their division.
Right.
So the only question is, do they need that game for seeding, which is possible.
Yeah.
And that would force them to play. Obviously, if they're not going to have to play, or they're going to be very cautious, because there are 2 games. There's that. Sean McDermott want to sit guys for 2 games? No, probably not. So they're gonna play. But you don't really have to go all out if there's no need to do things and have the game from a seeding standpoint. Because, boy, I got to tell you, I can't even imagine a way other than the quarterback getting hurt, which is basically anytime you have a star quarterback is basically that's every team, that anybody in the AFC East is going to challenge Buffalo. I don't see any way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's a tough game there because of that. I mean, I picked win on my schedule because of that sucker. Because I think you're right. So, but I had originally, my original thought process was I could see him losing to the Bills in Buffalo. It's a tough place to play, obviously. And John, I saw someone say, "Why do you guys give credit to Buffalo? They never win shit." I'm like, they're still a good team. They got a great quarterback. Just because they haven't won a Super Bowl doesn't mean they're not still a good team to play in the regular season.
People are broken by Super Bowls. I tell you that all the time. They are broken. Their evaluation skills are broken.
So 12-5 for both of us on our post exercise, but the original was 11-6 for John, 13-4 for me, which still feels a little lofty. I won't lie to you. I went with my gut on every game, and I did it on the fly like John did for the most part. But 13-4 feels a little heavy. But if they come back 12-5, I think that makes a lot of sense right there. Johnny Mac, pretty good exercise, man. Pretty good exercise. John, one thing I wanted to mention that we didn't mention, you got to be happy about one thing on the schedule. What is it?
6 1:00 games?
Yes, sir. 6 1:00ers.
Well, I'm not that happy because of flex scheduling, but as I pointed down, there's not a lot of options. It gets worse. It's good before the bye. but they're still, they can flex a little bit, as I mentioned before the bye. So one of those games might get flexed. So between weeks 5 and 10 is when they start, and it can be used up to twice, and it's probably likely, Tampa Bay. That's week 4 though, so we're saved there. The Giants is already a night game. That's a Thursday night. Minnesota, there's the game. That might get flexed.
Is that a
At
one?
Min-
Yeah, I could see that.
at
I didn't realize
Minnesota.
that was one. Yeah.
That might get flexed.
I don't think the Giants game's getting flexed in week 8. I don't think Broncos. Yeah, they don't really flex games early in the year, right? So those are
5 to 10, they can start now. 5 to 10, weeks 5 to 10. So it's got to be. It's got to be Denver.
Safe at 1. And
Rams
the Bucs
game
game
safe. Bucks game safe.
Okay, because those are 2 I could see flexing, but too early.
Broncos and Vikings are probably the 2, and I would say much more likely Minnesota. But I don't know how many. They have a lot of primetime games, so I haven't looked at their schedule really, but I know they have a lot of primetime, so that might factor into it as well. Bunch of different. You have to look at it from both sides, both avenues. So those are 2 possibilities: Denver and Minnesota.
Yeah,
to get flagged. But hey, any game 1 o'clock, yeah, I love it. And then after the bye, there's 1 o'clock game. That's it. And there could be Washington, obviously, week 18, if it's not relevant to the NFC East or seeding or anything like that. That'll probably be a 1 o'clock game, but it's more likely to be meaningful than not, I would say. So unlikely.
Yeah, good stuff there. There's our win-loss exercise, John. You made it through, John. How you feeling?
Well, I know people do, whatever. I did it in my gut off the top of my head, and blame BLG for the Kansas City game. I think it's pretty representative. I think they have much more upside than downside. I'm probably at the floor of what they're going to be. I think it's more likely they'll be better than what my immediate reaction is. So we'll see.
We'll see. It's going to be a good one. Going to be good. I want everybody in the chat to drop their final predictions. I know I asked earlier, but I didn't pull them up, and now there's been too many comments.
17-0, baby.
Come on, everybody. Give me your prediction, your final
Lane Johnson
prediction.
came out 17-0. Lane. 17.
I saw Lane Johnson tweet that. Yeah, somebody just put that in the chat. Lane Johnson tweeted that. There you go. Speaking of 17-0, Lane tweeted that. Good. Lane Johnson loves it.
I'm going the under, Lane. Sorry, bud.
Flexen says 12-5. There you go, Flex. Prince says 15-2. Dominique Dabney says 13-4. 12-5. 14-3. 13-4. 11-6 for Texas boy. It's a Cowboy fan giving us 11-6. Not bad there. 14-3, 13-4. Boy, a lot of optimism here. Mike says 11-6. Keith says 13-4. Brandon 13-4. Zeal 12-5. 14-3. That's heavy. That's heavy. 11-6 for Crawley. Top 5 says 14-3. Pumper. There's Pumper. 8-9. Come on, Pump.
Pumper
Anthony
living
Wilson
up
got
to the
13-4.
reputation.
Yeah,
well done. Well done.
12-5. Jeffrey 11-6, 12 or 13. Come on, Kirsten. What 12 or 13? Put your foot in the ground, Kirsten, and stick to it. Come on. 14-3, 11-6. All right, so pretty good. Brandon Lewis 11-6. Pretty good. Pretty good. Brian Pumper gets the laugh as always. Let's get to the super chat here before we get to our first commercial break.
I would say, what they finished 14-3 last year.
Yeah, 14-3.
Though there were a lot of 14-3 people. You really think this team is as good as the one that last year's team?
Wasn't I a 14-3 person? You guys were ripping me. You guys were calling me a homer and everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were coming off a collapse.
Yeah.
People forget that. Now they're coming off a 14-3 season where they set the postseason record for points and
Yeah, it's true.
blah, blah, blah. And you think they're going to be the same team?
Oh, I didn't say
After
I
all
got
the
13-4, maybe
No,
12
I'm
and
talking
5.
about the people in the chat with all the 14-3 people I said. You think they're going to be the same as last year? That's some Kool-Aid drinking right there.
Johnny Mac with the Kool-Aid. A-Team checking in with a super chat. A-Team, thank you, brother. Eagles are Randy Orton, legend killer. But I'm with J-Mac. We lose to the Chiefs week 2. There you go.
Luckily, Baker Mayfield isn't a legend because they can't kill him.
Yeah.
They really can't kill Todd Bowles.
Do you like Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I do. I think
Yeah,
he's
me too. I
underrated.
think he's a good quarterback.
I think it's more Todd Bowles. They can't figure out Todd Bowles. But
yeah, but I'm just talking. I was just asking in general on Baker. I think
no,
he's
I
one of
like
those guys
Baker.
that plays the position
Baker's
well.
a good quarterback. I think there's way too many good quarterbacks. One of them just retired that people shit on that are really good professional quarterbacks. But if you don't win, you're a shit stain to most people. So that's just the nature of that position. And if you do win, you're above reproach. It's just the nature of it.
Good stuff, everybody. There's our official win-loss prediction here, and we have the right to change it. All right, and through the offseason, we will do it. I'm sure we'll make another commentary on it by training camp or after training camp or some point. But as it stands in May, there it is. John's 11-6. If he had to go up or down, he'd go to 12-5. I'm 13-4. If I had to go up or down, I'd go down to 12-5. So we both end up after our exercise at 12-5. We just have a different way of getting there. Let's go to Prince real quick before we get to the break. Prince says, J-Mac is always negative. Lighten up and drink some coolant and stop turning Kool-Aid. Let's go 15-2, baby. We be wrong again, J-Mac. Oh man, they're coming for you, John. Jeez,
Yeah.
I thought you were quite generous in your win-loss prediction this year.
Yeah. Well,
based on the way you and Mike Gill have been talking about the defense, Mike Gill's going to have them like 5-12.
Objectivity is not negative. A lot of people think it is, but it's not.
Hertz is top 5. Says, J-Mac, you're a bald Sills. Negative Nancy. Wow, they're really coming for you now.
Well, yeah, like I said, with the same people would be coming for Jalen Hurts' head if Jalen Carter didn't get home in the divisional round, and would be crying like you know what if they lost that football
game. Would. I mean, how much are we going to harp on that?
But because it's not, because it identifies just how bullshit their narrative is.
But how close every game is too.
You know, forget all the negative. Forget that he wasn't playing well for long stretches of the season, and say, "Oh, he won the Super Bowl, so he's top 5." That is childlike logic. That is childlike logic. You know, you don't do it with Josh Sweat. You don't have to do it with the quarterback. Just because he plays quarterback.
I thought you were realistic today. I would say this is not the day to say you're a negative Nancy. Honestly, I mean, there's plenty of days I think you could be a negative Nancy.
There are so many people who say I'm always negative, blah blah blah, and then you got the other morons who say, "Oh, you give them too much credit for this, too much credit for that, too much credit." I mean, I got loads of hate mail. Pick one.
You always say that's a good thing when you get both sides because it shows
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
We do get those comments sometimes. Like if something happens,
and to that,
like John's protecting his key card or whatever, whatever it is. You get
I'm not protecting my key card to the point the Eagles are embarrassing, by the way, when it comes to PR in the schedule compared to other teams. Embarrassing. So how's that for trying to protect my key card? But no, I'm objective. And I'm not a fan of the team like you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not. It doesn't bother me if they lose. It doesn't bother me if they win. My job doesn't change.
Right.
It's not going to affect my mood. So I'm not. I don't drink the Kool-Aid not because I don't like Kool-Aid, because I don't care. I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. It doesn't matter to me. And again, this bothers me because there's plenty of places where you can get validation. I'm trying to do something different here. people don't like it, there's nothing I can do about it. But I think the industry as a whole has gone too far towards cheerleading to make people happy. And I mean, people say, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with it, but you're less educated about the game. You're less educated as a fan. And personally, I don't like that. But there's plenty of people who want that. And it's easy to bind. So go bind it.
Prince says, like Saquon won't be an impact player with us. Oh, Prince is coming.
Oh,
Prince was coming for Sills yesterday. He's been coming for me. Now he's going for Johnny Man. Prince, you need to take a break.
Yeah. Well, Prince, you can go back. Again, people hear what they want to hear. Go bind where I said Saquon Barkley wouldn't be an impact player. Go bind it. Everything's archived. I guarantee it doesn't exist. What I said was he was not going to be impactful in the passing game. You want to have that argument? Is he lining up in the slot? Were you one of the slot guys? Were you one of the, they don't need a third receiver because Saquon can do that? Were you one of that crowd? Prince?
I
bet she
How many
was.
times did we have that discussion last offseason?
I bet she was.
Saquon
I said he was the best runner the Eagles have had in forever. Now, did I think he was going to run for 2,500? No, I did not. But again, everything is archived. Please, please, I beg of you, go find where I said he was not going to be an impact player. I did not think he would perform at the level he did. I don't think anybody did.
Yeah,
anybody who wasn't a blindly loyal fan, I don't think anybody objective, because why would you project any player having the best season in NFL history? I'm not projecting that of any player at any position.
Nobody projected that last year, John. These people can say they did. Then nobody projected Saquon to beat the NFL rushing record last year. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody predicted that. Prince says, J-Mac, I'm not bothered, but I'm bothered. I don't even know.
I am bothered by frauds. You're a fraud. So I am bothered. You're right.
Prince,
thanks
Prince
for the
is the one who
$2.
calls you Mr. PFF. You know that, right?
I don't pay attention to these people. But thanks to the $2. Thanks for the $2. But I don't like frauds. You're a fraud. So yes, I'm bothered by that.
Prince, come on, man. Jason Gates says, good morning, guys. Not loving the schedule, but I still believe we can win 12 games, and then we do what we do in the playoffs and repeat. Go Birds. Jason, I agree with that. You got to get to
I had him, to be honest, even though I said 11-6, to be honest, I think they're going to be 12-5 because I think Buffalo's not going to need that game. But for this exercise, like I'm counting on Buffalo needing the game, playing at a typical level, and that's a very difficult place to play. Who knows? There might be 30 inches of lake effect snow. Who knows if the Eagles can get even into Western New York at that time? But ultimately, and that's why I went up from 11-6 in our exercise to 12-5. I think they're much more likely to end up with 12 wins. But for this particular exercise, I'm counting on Buffalo having to play and win the game. And in real life, they might have to not win the game. You're muted.
Yeah,
Sam.
I know. My bad. That's becoming a trend here, isn't it? Gates, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate all of you guys. Prince, everybody for the super chats. We appreciate all of you guys checking in. Hit that like button. We'll be right back on Birds 365.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365. Scheduled release day was yesterday. We did our official win-loss predictions here on Birds 365 today. Got a pretty good schedule for the Birds this year. It's tough. There's challenge to it. There's moments where I think they had an advantage, or it could have been worse for them. But overall, pretty tough, pretty good schedule coming in. This is what happens when you're a Super Bowl team, though, right, Johnny Mac? You get a tougher schedule and just a lot of playoff teams in the schedule from last year. We'll see how much the NFL shifts this year. So, but overall, pretty good, John. I think we were pretty good on our win-loss predictions, and I think the Eagles got dealt a decent hand on their schedule.
Yeah, I think it could have been worse. There were no, you could have had populated with some of the better teams back to back. If you think about the gauntlet year, as it was called in 2023, last time they were coming off the Super Bowl, I don't think it's nearly as difficult as that stretch, which started the collapse. So I don't see that pocket on this schedule. I think the worst part on paper is the final 3 games. But again, you have home and home against Washington in bookending Buffalo at Buffalo. That might not even be meaningful. So again, I don't see the big gauntlet. If you consider probably early in the season, September 14th to September 28th, because you have 3 really good teams back to back to back, 3 potential playoff teams. So I guess that would be on paper at Kansas City, Los Angeles, in Philadelphia, at Tampa Bay. That could be the one very early, especially when you think about all the changes defensively. If that goes negative in early in the season, boy, Kevin Petula is going to start hearing some shit. I'll tell you that. But
yes, so
that would be the one mark of caution, that 3-game stretch. But I got them winning one of those games. As long as you win one of those games, I think you're fine. Can't lose them all.
I think
if you win 2, then you're really setting yourself up.
I'm a little surprised you have us winning both games versus the Cowboys. I know most people go down. I mean, most people, especially in this chat, will say the same thing about sweeping the Cowboys because of the rivalry there. But obviously, you don't care about that element of it. Talk me through why you have them sweeping the Cowboys, and most times you split with division game. I mean, maybe not every time, but
no.
Split,
It would be normally I would take them to beat the Giants twice and the Commanders twice, and sometimes the Commanders would beat them. But that's what I would pick. And now the Commanders have replaced the Cowboys. I think they split with the Commanders, but yeah, I think Dak is clearly a descending player coming off another injury, another pretty significant injury. They've gotten a little bit better. They'll be healthier on defense. I think they got a better defensive coordinator, so they should be better on defense. But they had a lot of problems there. Offensively, still rebuilding the offensive line. I don't think they're the 12, whatever they won 12 games 3 years in a row. I don't think they're that Dallas Cowboys team. I think they're on the downslide at quarterback, and I think they're rebuilding a lot of other areas of the roster. So I don't think they're as daunting as they have been in the past.
That makes sense. John, what's the what in your opinion, when you look at this schedule as a whole, what do you think the toughest stretch of the schedule is here? I think it's the one thing I noticed about it is
early. I just said it. September 14th, right? September 28th. That's where the season could go wrong quickly. September 14th to September 28th. Week 2 through week 4. And right. If you want to be
week 2, 3, and 4.
If you want to be completely negative, like people accuse me of being, you could easily see them losing all 3 of those games. And if they lose all 3 of those games in this town, and they're 1-3, and if you want to add Dallas into the mix, I don't give Dallas much chance at all.
Not in that opener. I don't think Dallas is going to win that opener.
But I mean, Kansas City, again, really difficult place to play. Do I think the Eagles are a better team? Yes. We saw they're a better team. And they have some of the same issues as the Cowboys. I think they're on the slide as a team. Rams are really talented. Now, I think the opposite of the Rams. I think they're an ascending team, even though they have an older quarterback. But the rest of the roster,
they're ascending. There's no doubt. Outside of Stafford, who by the way, I still think is a great quarterback. I know he's old. I think
he is,
40, but he's still. I mean, he can still sling that rock, man. And with those weapons, I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year.
Yeah. So I think they're ascending. And Tampa Bay, they haven't been able to solve down there for the most part. So that's the stretch that you say, well, that if you're picking what can go wrong, if you're looking for that, that's the stretch. And you add into it, you're trying to integrate probably 5 new starters on defense. You're trying to integrate another new offensive coordinator. So there's going to be hiccups from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Early in the season, that's when they struggled last year. The only point that to me is the most dangerous stretch.
Yeah, I agree. So our buddy Brandon Howard, I know he's a Canadian. Let's just educate him. Brandon, if you must have never been to Florida before. He says, what's the date on that game? If it's late September, maybe we can get a cloudy, cool day. Brother, September in Florida is never cool. I mean, cool would be like 85, legitimately. Florida in September, bro, is very, very, very hot.
Really especially Tampa. With Tampa, it's the humidity too.
Yeah. There's a very low chance you get a cool day in Tampa in September.
You can look at any. I mean, the fall. So September and October is known because I used to live in Tampa many, many, many years ago. Is typically, what they call the hot and humid season. I mean, it's just the humidity is insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Because you're on the Gulf, essentially the Gulf Coast, not as close as Clearwater or St. Petersburg, but
you're
right
close.
there.
You're close, yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really humid. And you could get a decent day if it breaks right, if it's cloudy. You can get a decent day temperature wise, like in the 70s, but you rarely get a decent day humidity wise. And there's a big difference from like 70. If you get a break at like 70 or 74, 75 and get 100% humidity, it's bad enough.
Yeah.
But the difference between 70 or low 70s to 85, say, with that humidity is just.
Yeah,
And last year,
John, you'll be lucky to be in the 70s, bro, in September in Florida. Yeah.
And last year was just brutal because they had the hurricane. It was right around the hurricane.
It is hurricane season down there too.
Yeah.
So like it's not out of the equation that they have a similar situation.
Yeah. But yeah, that could be a weather game. So everybody's like, I've never understood that because last year's game in Tampa was a weather game, but people don't think of hot weather as weather games. They only think like at Buffalo, that's a weather game. Well, it is potential weather game, but so is Tampa. So is at Tampa in September.
I think people are coming more around to that thought, John, like the other side of the weather game being Tampa, in September.
Miami, Miami.
Yeah, or Miami, right. Similar stuff there. Good stuff, Brandon Howard. Appreciate that. That's going to be a tough one. There's no doubt about it. I want to answer one other question here. I saw Trey says, here's my question. Why are we facing the Bears at 3 p.m.? So that's the Black Friday game, Trey. So I think they're doing 3 and 6 that day, John. Is that what they're doing with games? Or is there only one?
I think there's only one. Yeah.
Oh, only one. So they're the only Black, but it's Black Friday. Yeah. There's no really precedent or, for that game, really. I guess they just do it.
Last year was the first year they had it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Why do they do 3 though, if there's only one? Why not do 4 or prime time? I don't know. 4 would be prime time.
For some reason, I don't know. Amazon is very focused on tying in the game to the shopping aspect of it.
Right.
So, they've done their research and they want people at home because they don't want people out of brick and mortar stores. So they want people at home.
Right.
If you have a game at 8:30,
yeah, you can go out all day, get your shopping done.
Yeah. So they want people at home ordering their crap off Amazon is the thought process from the TV people.
Yeah, I'm a Tim. Most of my family works on Black Friday. I don't know what I mean. I know other people, I guess, have off, but 3 o'clock on a Friday is like, I don't know, but I get it. Black Friday is one of those days that some people take off or don't have work. Good stuff there. We got one more super chat here. We'll get to plenty of stuff to talk about with this schedule here. Dullahan says, Johnny Mac, Micah Parsons isn't a generational talent. He can't even play the run, and he isn't worth $40 million. Dallas sucks. John, they're coming for you today. I don't know why. I feel like John was more optimistic today than I was expecting, and everybody's coming for you on the day that you're optimistic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate the term generational talent, number one. I say it all the time because once in a generation meets once in a generation. And people use it every year, every position, every player. All I've ever said is Micah Parsons is a tremendous, tremendous pass rusher. And I mentioned, your own team. It ain't coming from me. It's coming from your own team. And the head coach of your own team who basically says, if you can't block them, read them. And what he's saying by that is they can't block them. And they have the best offensive line in football. So, if you had him here, because, he's a Penn State guy, little Eagles love before he got to Dallas, similar to Abdul Carter, you would freaking love that player. So, again, a little fraudulent. A lot of frauds out today.
Yeah, a lot of frauds out. Prince, he bent the knee, John. The chat during the break. He bent the knee to you, Johnny Max. He got him. He called him a fraud, and Prince backed down. Come on, Prince. John, what's the
you don't have to. But I mean, there were a lot of people on that. Again, I'm here every day. Everything's archived. Anybody can look at it at any time.
I think
You
somebody
guys
said they're all looking now, John, because you told them to go look. I think
go
you
look.
said, go look. He
Go
said, I've
look.
been scrolling for an
And
hour.
by the all time, but
Barkley
before you look, why don't you look in the mirror and talk about the way you guys were talking about that player and just admit you were wrong about the receiving aspect of it? How about that? How about looking in the mirror and then you can go look, because you won't find it. Because I constantly said, Zander's the host of the show. He can be. What did I say? Miles Sanders was a Pro Bowl running back here. DeAndre Swift was a Pro Bowl running back here. And he's much better than those guys as a runner. What I said is, as a receiver, he is not going to be that impactful, which is correct. And for all the knuckleheads that said he was going to play slot receiver, I mean, where are those people? It's like the Devin White people. They recede into the bushes like Homer Simpson in the meme. They recede into the bushes. Where are those people?
We had that segment a lot last year, John. I remember it well.
Oh my God. I got so tired talking about it. It was so absurd. I said even Christian McCaffrey, that's what they conflate it with, because, Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, at his height, was the best, all around running back at football. I don't run from that. He was. And he's the best receiving back I've seen, certainly of this generation. And even he is not playing slot receiver. What I said is, if you line up an NFL running back against an NFL cornerback of even competency levels, forget about good levels, that's a day off for the cornerback. That's what I said. Now, I also said that if you ask me, his time with the Giants concerned me because I got to cover Adrian Peterson. And Adrian Peterson was on some bad football teams, but he always delivered. So I was concerned about that, because I'm like, if you're that good, why wasn't he better on the Giants? That I said that pretty consistently. And I still believe, I'm still surprised by that.
I think you were a little surprised at the evaluation that the Eagles put on Saquon at the time because of where he came from with Giants and what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. I said that.
Yeah.
But I also said he is by far the best runner they've had in a long time, in a very long time. Did I say it was Adrian? I still don't think he's Adrian Peterson. And maybe there's some bias because I covered Adrian Peterson. But that's the best runner I've ever seen in person. As far as the combination of power and speed, I think that's the best runner since basically Jim Brown. So that's how much I think of Adrian Peterson. But I will also say about Adrian Peterson, for people that watch this show, he's also a terrible pass protector, also a very poor receiver. And Saquon's just average as a receiver, but he's better than Adrian as a receiver.
Yeah, he's not a great receiver, though. No.
So I've said all that stuff, but people hate context, man. They hate context. And again, I'm not sitting here saying I predicted Saquon Barkley would have the impact he had. I didn't think there's any way he would have the impact he had. I don't think there's anybody in the world.
I think you predicted 1,400 rushing, 300.
I predicted more than anybody else.
Yeah.
That was the whole shtick.
Yeah, right.
I asked every guest we had, what is he going to have? I was higher than everybody except Ed Kratz, who came on at the very end. And by the way, I think Ed tried to Price is Right me. He only went ahead of where I was because of where I was. But I had Saquon Barkley having more total yards than every single guest on this show,
including me. I remember because me and you were fighting about it too, and then you predicted more yards than me, and you were like, "What the fuck?" Which is pretty funny. John, real quick though, that brings me to one point I wanted to ask you about NFL news yesterday. Did you see that Derrick Henry contract? He gets a 2-year, $30 million deal with $25 million guaranteed. And the reason I bring this up is because we kind of talk about how running backs, they expire kind of quickly in the NFL, for lack of a better word. 31 years old and he signs that deal. Maybe Saquon Barkley's looking like, hey, man, I could have another 4 or 5 years if I can stay healthy. I don't know if he can have 400 touches a year, but what do you think of that? Big deal for Derrick Henry at 31 years old.
Yeah, biggest deal ever for an over 30 running back.
Yep.
So that's the concern. But Derrick's a little bit different as far as, it's
He's a beast.
I don't
man.
know how much you can buy into these hype stories, but supposedly spends $750,000 a year just the maintenance on his body. He's a different guy from a physical standpoint. But he had a great season, kind of overshadowed because of Saquon's season. But it's funny because the Eagles had the I believe it was the 6th best rushing attack in NFL history. And they were number 2 in the NFL last year to Baltimore. Baltimore was actually ahead. Now you can make an argument that if the Eagles didn't have to rest and Saquon probably would have broken the regular season record. It would have looked better, but that's how good Baltimore's running game was last year. So I only bring that up.
Yeah,
they were both top 6 in NFL history as far as running,
which is crazy. Crazy in the day that in the game that the NFL is today, and thinking about where it came from.
Yeah, well, we've all been waiting for. I thought it would be New England with Bill Belichick. I thought he would be the guy who'd say, "All right, it's gone too far. I'm going to take advantage of this." And it turned out to be the Eagles and Baltimore, which are 2 of the better run teams, better run organizations in the NFL. Zig when everybody else is zagging, and now the other morons have to catch up. And we'll see, because like I've said pretty consistently as well, I would not like the Eagles defense to try to stop the Eagles offense. But there's only 2 teams that ran at that effectiveness, and the Eagles played Baltimore and they did a pretty good job. So it's hard to criticize what was going on with Vic Fangio's unit last year as well.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, I want to go here. Next question on the schedule for you is, and I think there's only one area they answer this. You'll probably go the same way I did. What's the easiest? What's the part of the schedule where you feel like the Eagles can get a little bit of a break?
I think the easiest is, as you said, right after the most difficult part, right, which is week 5 to the bye week.
Yep.
Where you have, I think you only have the potential to lose 1 game in my estimation. And that's at Minnesota. And even that, and I picked Minnesota, but that was the toughest game because I don't really, the quarterback has never played at the NFL level at all. He played 1 preseason game and got hurt. So they have a very good roster, but if you don't have a quarterback, it's kind of tough. And the other 3 games in that stretch are Denver, which I think is overrated. I think people are skipping steps there. They're not a bad team, but that game's home, so that adds into it. They're at Lincoln Financial Field, so I think that's pretty easy. And then you got the home and home against the Giants straddling that Minnesota game. So, and again, the Giants have gotten a little bit better. And I do worry about their defensive front a little bit in the passing game, because they have a lot of good pass rushers. But, I mean, you're playing into the Eagles' strengths there with the Eagles' offensive line. That, to me, Denver, Giants, Vikings, Giants. If you beat the Vikings, that's a 4-game winning streak going into Green Bay after the bye.
Agreed on that. Johnny Mac, what do you think of that Lions game, that Sunday Night Football game? That's one that everybody wanted to see last year. I thought the NFL should have made it nice and early this year. They obviously went against that. What do you think of that game? What do you think the Lions are going to be this year? They obviously had a historic offense last year before they struggled in the playoffs and got bounced by the Commanders. What do you think of that game? That's a good one.
Yeah, it would have been funner last year, obviously, but there's so much change and turnover. And with Detroit, you start with both coordinators, so you no longer have to worry about Ben Johnson. You still have to worry about the significant talent they have on offense, which is still off the charts. Defensively, they're going to be healthier. Who knows where Aiden Hutchinson's going to be? You would mention there's some negative video of him. I don't know if he's ever going to be the same guy. If he is, he was going to be Defensive Player of the Year last year. So we'll see where he is. Difficult game though, from a talent perspective. I mean, Detroit's right there. If you said who's got the most talent in the NFL, I'd probably say Eagles, Lions 1, 2. And you can argue who put them
I
in
think
any
Ravens
order.
3. That would be my third.
Ravens are up there. I think the Ravens are certainly up there. Probably number 1 in the AFC.
Yeah.
Minnesota's up there, but they don't have the quarterback situation. But yeah, they're two of the Eagles and Lions are two of the most talented teams in football.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. The end of I view the end as in a way I didn't like it at first, but I think the end of the schedule is kind of a gift where you get the Commanders late. Yeah, you mentioned the Bills probably already locked that division up. The East might already be locked up by week 18. I mean, the NFL is clearly betting on those games mattering with 2 of them in the last 3 weeks of the year, but I think that's a little bit of a gift. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I think the situation's going to matter a lot. It looks bad on paper. That's why I say everybody, you can talk yourself into things in the NFL. Like you can talk yourself into the Eagles losing 3 straight early in September, and you can also talk yourself into them winning 6 straight. If you think they're going to exercise the demons against Tampa Bay, so. That the framework matters. What's going on at the time matters. And, Washington is they look like a team that's getting better and better and are going to be getting better and better. But that doesn't mean it's going to be seamless. And there's rarely, when you talk about these trajectories of good teams, it rarely goes in a straight line up. You have a little bit of an EKG feel. You have, some ups and downs. So you have to see what Washington is. And again, we've talked about the Buffalo game a lot. To me, like if there's one thing I'm going to guarantee in this NFL season, it's the Buffalo Bills are going to win the AFC East.
Yeah, agreed.
They're 3 terrible teams. And I mean that, terrible teams in the AFC East with Buffalo.
I don't even think there's a chance they don't win the East. They could have an awful season and still win the East.
Well, the only way is if you lose Josh Allen in practice before the season. I mean, then it becomes all right.
Yeah, right.
Who can win?
Which is obviously a freak event. So
yeah, who could win 9 games basically, and then it becomes competitive. But that's every team. Every team with a good quarterback. If they lose their quarterback, they're in trouble. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's going to be easy for them to win the division. And, again, so week 17 that you're in tanking season, tanking mode. Some teams want to tank, some teams want to rest. And Buffalo would be in the category for being very, very cautious with their key players, I would say.
Yep, no doubt. John, any other games outside of the Eagles that you were like, oh, that's a good game across the NFL? There's always good games, obviously, in the NFL, but any marquee matchups that caught your eye?
I don't know if I'm just sick of Kansas City, but boy, I wish
I'm with you, man.
I wish the league would just, come on. All right, let's tone it down. And as I mentioned, they believe that that's the biggest brand in the NFL, along with the Cowboys, which is going to piss Eagles fans off. And yeah, I'm a little cheaped out, I would say. So from that standpoint, I look at it like, should you start buying into some of these young teams? Washington's one they're clearly buying in on. They specifically mentioned Denver and Chicago. And I think a lot of people, if Denver and Chicago are better than people expect, then you're going to hear the conspiracy people. Well, the league likes him. But this league is sort of bulletproof. It doesn't matter who you are. The Packers are a great example of that because we mentioned earlier in the show, it's the smallest market in major sports, and nobody talks about it because they're so popular and they're one of the biggest brands and yada, yada, yada. If you're good in the NFL, they're going to find you. I just think they should be a little bit more proactive. It's the same teams over and over again in the standalone windows. And then the other thing is how many standalone windows they have and how many days of the week you're playing.
Right.
It's like they have so many partners now with all the streaming services, and everybody wants this particular product because it's the only product anybody watches with consistency. Everything else is niche. So you have YouTube jumping in this year.
Oh, we got to talk. I forgot to mention that, John. That's huge. That's not YouTube TV. That's YouTube. That's what we are on, baby.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be on both. It's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, no,
TV
but I mean,
YouTube.
they're actually streaming it on YouTube too. Like we are.
Well, YouTube's got the largest viewership in the country now.
No doubt.
Nielsen does. They have the largest percentage of audience. Anybody. They're number one, literally, because of Birds 365. Well, I mean, I'm exaggerating because of that part of it, but they are literally number one.
Yeah.
As far as percentage of audience and what people are viewing right now via Nielsen. They are number one. YouTube, not YouTube TV. YouTube.
Yeah. I'll toot my own horn a little bit on that. So JAKIB is here today because of my thoughts on YouTube back 5-6 years ago. So good stuff there. We appreciate all of you for helping us grow here on YouTube. John, one of my favorite games, or my most anticipated games of the year, Week 1, Ravens-Bills on Sunday Night Football. I think that is an awesome Week 1 game. And we'll have already played our Week 1 game, so Eagles fans will be kind of sitting good on Sunday, be able to watch the rest of the NFL. That's going to be a good game, Sunday Night Football. Ravens-Bills. I think that game's in Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season. All of them are important, though, from the standpoint of, you only play 17 of these things. But, I mean, you can lose that Week 1 and still do a lot of things. So, I don't get too hyped about early season games. But yeah, people, that's the NFL, man. I mean, people, and by the way, I'm looking it up. YouTube, 12%. This is just of the streaming services, but 12% to Netflix is number 2 at 7.9%. And they beat all networks as well now, which are more in the 10% range, but so number 1 overall as far as viewership, and streaming is now 43.8. Cable is number 2, 24%. Broadcast, like NBC, ABC, the old thought process is behind cable at 20.5%. So that's what you're talking about as things change dramatically. And that's why the NFL is in business with YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, and probably down the road it's going to be, and all the networks have their own services like Peacock and the Rokus of the world, the Tubies of the world. Don't be surprised if they get involved down the road as well.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for being here on YouTube with us today. I see everybody in the chat saying, yeah, they're YouTube people. I feel like I'm on YouTube. John, are you a YouTube user like off Birds 365 or no?
No, not really. I'm more of a.
I told you, I don't watch TV or movies. I'm a YouTube. I love YouTube.
If I'm watching something, it's usually going to be on Netflix or Prime, or I Peacock because I'm a wrestling fan.
Right.
So it's going to be a one. I basically watch shows when I do watch TV. So I'm not watching like clips. Like a lot of people watch clips of whatever they like to watch people play video games or whatever they do. But I'm not that guy.
No, I'm not that guy either. I watch YouTube on topics that I'm interested in that are outside of football because I do enough talk about football during my days.
But I end up seeing a crap of YouTube clips anyway because people post them on X and all that. So I end up seeing them, and everybody's got their show on YouTube now for the most part. Whether it's a radio show, a streaming, whatever. And we were earlier than most, I would say. Credit to you.
Yeah.
Now everybody's got it. So yeah, you end up seeing it anyway. But I don't, sit down to watch TV and pull up. I'm generally pulling up a show. So.
Yeah, right. You're not pulling up YouTube. I'm the Apple. Like I'll go on my TV. I got the Apple TV thing, so I'll just go YouTube, speak YouTube right into it, and then I'll start to scroll through and click on all the hobbies or whatever it is that I'm interested in at that given time. Good stuff there. We got one more super chat, and then we'll have some more discussion here before we wrap up the show. Got 15 minutes left to play here on Birds 365. Brian Pumper. What's a show without a Pumper super chat? He predicted 8 and 9 for the Eagles. Come on, Pump. He says, don't understand the QB injury narrative. Knock on paper, if Jalen gets hurt, we have the Portuguese sniper. Tanner is not a big drop. Portuguese sniper? Is Tanner McKee Portuguese?
No, but he can speak Portuguese.
He can speak Portuguese. Okay.
Yeah. Because he went down there for his
he doesn't look Portuguese to me. He's a white dude from Utah, isn't he?
He had his mission down in Brazil. So that was a big thing, if you remember. So he speaks Portuguese. Yeah, he can. But yeah, I think the Portuguese sniper's probably going to be playing elsewhere next year because Kyle McCord is going to be the long-term backup of the Philadelphia Eagles, I would say.
Don't tell Pumper that Portuguese sniper is out.
Oh, that might be good for Pumper. He can prove himself somewhere else.
That's true.
A lot of people got him going to New Orleans to give Kellen Moore another young quarterback who can't play. He needs a veteran.
Yeah. Kellen Moore's got like a pile. The pile keeps getting bigger, but there's nothing of substance in the pile. Do you think Tyler Shuck's going to be all right? I actually think he might be okay.
A lot of people I talked to in the NFL around the draft, I mentioned that on the show numerous times. They were a hell of a lot higher on Tyler Shuck than most of the quarterbacks other people were high on. So
is that where Pumper came from? Is Pumper named after a porn star that has every STD? Is that real?
I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't know that, but have I been calling Pumper that this whole time, and that's where it comes from? Oh, Pumper, you might have to change your name, dude. You might have to rebrand if that's true. Are you kidding me, dude? Oh, just gave the eye emoji. Oh gosh, that's it. All right, come on, Pumper. I didn't know this. Oh man.
Well, nobody wants to give their real names and act like a fool. So, you got to come up with something.
Your real name, as far as I'm concerned, and my real name is Zander Krause. So.
Yeah, well, it is. There's no aliases here.
No, there is not. Johnny Mac, good stuff. We got about 15 or 13 minutes left to go here on the show. I want to look at one other thing I wanted to do on the show today is I wanted to look at some of the NFC East schedules. All right, let's see how they fare. I'm going to pull up the Giants schedule now. Let's see how theirs is. And then we're going to pull up the Cowboys.
Oh, the Giants people are jumping off roofs. People are saying
it's tough. That's why I want to look at it here. Let's look at it. So this is the Giants schedule. Awful graphic, by the way. I can barely read this thing. 2025. So they got Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs. That's a tough start. Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers to start the season for the Giants. They'll be 0-4 to start. You hate to see it. Then they got Saints, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles. Oh my goodness. The Giants are going to be toast, John. Then they got Niners.
What's funny to me about NFL fans? Like before the season, when the schedule comes out, everybody's great. And then you went through this when the Eagles made the Super Bowl in 2022. The Eagles didn't beat anybody. And the Eagles didn't beat even last year. Well, the Eagles didn't beat anybody. Ironically, the year when they beat somebody, I have this discussion with Mike all the time, Mike Gill. When they beat somebody, they turned into nobodies. Right now, keep the same energy. All those like because I saw a bunch of Giants fans complaining about their schedule. Well, hey, you're a bad team, so your record stinks, and then you're in the division where the Eagles won 14 games and the Commanders won 12 games, and that's 4 games on your schedule. So it skews it from that standpoint. And then, unfortunately, for the Giants and Eagles and Commanders and everybody and the Cowboys and everybody in this division, you're playing the NFC North, which also had a good season last year. And you're playing the AFC West, who people think is a good division. I think it's a little bit overrated. So, yeah, it's the NFL. There are no homecoming games. You're the homecoming game as the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, but a bunch of those games are not going to look as daunting. And mark my words, if the Eagles do finish 14-3 again, and they're better than I expect, you're going to hear that same narrative. Well, they didn't beat anybody because Denver is not going to make the playoffs, and the Giants aren't going to, and maybe the Vikings aren't going to make the playoffs, and maybe the Packers aren't going to make the playoffs because there's 3 teams from the NFC East. And maybe the Chargers don't make the playoffs, and the Raiders aren't going to make the playoffs. You're going to hear the same shit. It's like this constant cycle. On this day, everything is so daunting because everybody's getting better. Oh, the Broncos are getting better. The Bears are going to get better. It ain't going to work that way. Never does.
This is a tough schedule here for the Giants, though, John.
After I say that, you go right back to it.
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
Again, based off last season, because of the NFC East, and this is all done in a rotating system, they're playing the NFC North, so you have to play those 4 teams, and everybody thinks the Bears are better, and the Vikings won 14 games, and the Lions won 14 games, and the Packers won whatever they won, 10 or 11 games. And you have the Chiefs in the AFC West. Right there, the Chiefs aren't as good as they usually are, in my estimation. So, all right, it's the NFL. Give me an easy schedule. Who's got the easy schedule?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's look at the Cowboys, though, right here. All right, they got Eagles, Giants, Bears, Packers. That's a little bit of a more friendly start. Jets, Panthers. Come on, this is a much easier start here. Commanders, Broncos, Cardinals. Then they have the bye. What's that, like a week 10 bye? Yeah, it looks like a week 10 bye. Then they have Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Washington, New York. That's a tougher. They got a tougher late schedule for sure. They're easier pre-bye week, harder post-bye week. Looks like to me.
Well, they have the exact same schedule as everybody else in the division, except for 3 games, which I've tried to explain to people pretty consistently.
No, yeah, I know, but those 3 games help. I mean, shit.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the difference. And the Eagles' 3 games are Tampa Bay, Buffalo, and what's the third game? Rams. Those are their 3 games. You have the 2 in conference first place teams, Rams and Bucks, and then the 1 outside of conference first place teams, Buffalo. That's the only difference between their schedule and everybody else in the NFC East. The Washington get the second place teams. Dallas gets the 3rd place teams. Giants get the 4th place teams. So that's the only difference. 3 games.
Yeah, right. Boy, I appreciate the Eagles graphic because these are not as good. The Eagles graphic is much easier to consume than these other ones. But this is the Commanders. They got the Giants. They got the they start on Thursday night. So they go Giants. Then they go Packers, Raiders, Falcons. So I guess that's where your second place team comes in. There's Falcons, Chargers, Bears, Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions, Dolphins. Then they got the week 12 bye, Broncos, Vikings, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. So they got a heavy NFC East to end it. They go 4 straight NFC East games to end it. They go Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Giants. Excuse me. Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the NFL shifted towards more divisional games in week 1 than they typically do. And that, starts with the Eagles and Cowboys. They've been, in recent years, they've been to try to prevent tanking as much as possible. They put them at the end. So they did it with Washington, but those are more about trying to have relevant games, I would think, than anything else. But yeah, they try to keep those division games, at least some of those division games, late, so you don't have the thought process is you won't want to lose to your division rivals, so you won't be as apt to tank, but I don't think that matters to people that do tank. The interesting thing is, yeah, I don't know if you've heard this discussion about the NFL should go to a lottery like the NBA. Why? Why are they copying the NBA? That's a crap. That's a everybody talks about it's fixed and this and that and this and that, and then they should follow that.
No, yeah, we don't want them to do that. We don't want them to do that.
I'll never understand people.
But I do understand why people say like don't incentivize losing, but I don't really think the NFL does.
No, they don't, and they do their best. There's some teams now. Look, I've had this discussion numerous times. Tanking is a 180 from everything about sports, that everything sports should be. And especially I talk to youth coaches about it. It's what do you do when you're teaching children? You're trying to teach them to be, have good habits and be competitive. Not, hey, we're not as good as them, so let's just lose on purpose. Anybody doing that? So it's the antithesis of what sports should be. Now, the problem is people are paid at the pro level to win. And the easiest way to win, especially in the NBA, is to tank and, get the 1 or 2 best players in the draft. And that's why they do it. So you as a commissioner or you as a league, they have a different job than everybody else. Their job is to win by any means necessary. So I have no problem with Sam Hinkie other than he did his job poorly. But that was his goal. His goal was to win. The NBA's goal, and in this case, the NFL's goal, is to make the product as entertaining as possible for as many fans as possible. The NFL doesn't have a problem with that, so they shouldn't change. The NBA's got a lot of shit to fix.
Agreed.
And they should fix a lot of shit.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Let me just fix this. Appreciate everybody being here today. Got a couple minutes left to play here. All right, we did our official win predictions for those who missed them. All right, Johnny Mac had them at 11-6, but in our up or down exercise, John went up this year to 12-5. John, if I'm not mistaken, last year you had 12-5 and you went down to 11-6. Is that right?
Yes.
Or was it 11-6 and you went down to 10-7?
No, 12 and down to 11.
Right. So this year, John has 11-6 up to 12-5. I have 13-4 down to 12-5. I think last year I was 14-3 down to 13-4. I don't remember exactly what I was. I know I had a lot of wins, and you guys were calling me homer between you and Cilio. So, but I got 13 wins again for this team. I think they could do it. Got to start fast this year, in my opinion. Get out of the gates and get it done. But John, your final thoughts on this schedule breakdown day of Birds 365?
It's finally here. We finally have names and faces to the week, so that's a positive, and at least we can talk about actual games, even if that part is, kind of silly to talk about where teams will be in week 17 or week 18 as far as injury, attrition, all that kind of stuff that factors into it. Never even mind who's going to be playing, who's going to be doing different things. who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to be fighting for their lives to be in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at least you have names to faces, and there were the Tennessee Titans, ironically, because they had the number 1 overall pick, and the Los Angeles Chargers, who have become the standard when it comes to schedule releases. Again, when the social media Super Bowl losers, not the Chargers, but Titans, but they did a good job as well. Titans always do.
Titans was good, yeah. That was the one that was like framed up like a farm,
like a drug commercial.
Yeah, like a drug commercial. I thought that one was pretty good.
Yeah.
What they call it, Schedule Rizzy or something?
Yeah, Schedule Rizzy.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's good. Good stuff.
I didn't love the Minecraft one.
You didn't love it?
I'm not a Minecraft guy.
Well, I'm not a Minecraft guy. I know a lot of the Eagles fans liked it because they had Kansas City getting destroyed by a huge eagle in Minecraft.
Yeah, right.
So they like that. But it was I've never played Minecraft a day in my life, but it was I could tell it's very inventive. They do a really good job with that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I've never played it, so I don't really know how it works. It just looks pixely to me. That's all I've ever taken. That's all I've ever taken from it. Ryan says the Eagles release video was lazy as F and a joke.
You're damn right it was.
Yeah, it was. Wait, give them the backstory of what you said too about, like, they just don't give you much info at this time of the year. Or what?
Oh my God, dude. Because I used to do national stuff years ago, so I still get team emails from most of the teams in the NFL, and everybody has these giant schedule, not only the videos, but they send to media members, notes about every game. Eagles gave us 5 notes. It's like, for as good as they are on the field, they are that bad when it comes to stuff like that. One of the worst in the league, and they shouldn't be. So for those looking that I'm trying to keep my key card, which I don't have a key card. Yeah. Brutal compared to other teams in the NFL.
You hate to see it. Johnny Mac, good stuff today, brother. The schedule release, your favorite show of the year, has come and went, John. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And only 4 or 5 people annoyed the shit out of me. So that's a good number.
I thought John was like relatively optimistic, or at least very fair in his release.
No, I'm negative.
Everybody jumped on you. I'm like, this is not the day, but I get it. That's what people do. Johnny Mac, great show, brother. We will catch you tomorrow on Football Friday at Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, there's Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us here on Birds 365. Great show today. Great schedule release. All right. Great schedule release. I like this Eagles schedule. The more I look at this Eagles schedule, the more I like this Eagles schedule. I don't fear any of these fucking teams. I know we got good teams. Like, that's, you just heard John explain it. Oh, everybody's playing good team. Our schedule is not that bad. Our schedule is not that bad. It is not that bad at all. When you look at some of the teams that we have on this schedule and look at the way that they framed it up, this thing could be a lot worse. This thing could be way worse. Like, I don't think this is bad at all. You get the New York Football Giants twice before your bye week. I mean, that's 2 wins. You get the Broncos. I mean, don't try and sell me on Bo Nix. No, beating the Eagles. I think the Rams and I think John's right that week 2 through 4 is a tough stretch, but it's not so tough where I think we could plausibly come out of that stretch 3-0. Now, maybe we wouldn't. I had them losing to the Rams. That was my one loss before the bye week, was the Rams. But I think the Chiefs take a step back. I don't think the Cowboys, can hold a candle to us in the opener. The Buccaneers, I think the Eagles are going to exercise that demon. John was kind of laughing at me about that comment, but I just think Jalen has done it. How many times have we seen this where, oh, Jalen hasn't done this yet, or Jalen can't do this yet, or or this is the narrative. And then he just takes it, rips it up into a million pieces of paper and throws it in the trash. Like, I think we're going to beat the Bucs this year. And then you have the Giants twice, and you have the Vikings with JJ McCarthy. Like, I don't know. The more I'm looking back at it, again, I said I was being too optimistic when I had him 7-1 going into the bye, but I don't think that's unreasonable. Barring injuries and barring just like a complete collapse of this team in the start, I think 7-1 is appropriate for that pre-bye. Now, I had him ending up 13-4, so a couple losses after the bye. I had the week 12 loss. I do unfortunately think we split with the Cowboys. All right. I know many of you won't like that, but I do have that. Week 14, I had a loss as well, which is the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I think they're kind of a sleeper team. They're going to be a regular season warrior though, because Justin Herbert can't seem to see past the bright lights in the playoffs. And then I had week 16, a loss to the Commanders. So that's it. 13-4. And then if I had to go up or down, I was going to go down with maybe a loss to the Bucs or a loss to the Bills. So 13-4, 12-5. I think that's right on the number. I think that's right where we are. And I really don't think that's being homer or overly optimistic or any of those things. I mean, I think that's very reasonable. We looked at the Commander schedule a little bit. So I'd like to pull that up real quick. John, John was shitting on anytime you pull up another schedule, John. Oh, who cares? It's not different. John, just fucking analyze the schedule, please, God. But let's look at this Commander schedule because I think they're the team that has the best chance to be good in the East. Here it is. All right. They got Giants, Packers. See, that's a tough start with Giants. I know Giants are easy, but you're going right into a Thursday night game. Then they have like a mini bye going into the Raiders. Packers could sneak win that game. Falcons, Chargers, Bears, Cowboys, Kansas City, Seahawks. This isn't crazy. Lions, Dolphins, week 12 bye. I like a week 12 bye. Broncos, Vikings, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, and Eagles. So the end of their schedule could make or break their season. It legitimately could. You go into the final 3 weeks of the year versus the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Eagles. If they drop both those games to the Eagles and the game to the Cowboys, finish the season on a 3-game losing streak, that could be bad news for the Commanders. So I'm going to give them one loss to us, one loss to the Cowboys. I don't think they beat the Lions. That's 3 losses. I don't think they beat the Chiefs. That's 4 losses. I don't think they beat the Chargers. That's 5. I don't think they beat the Green Bay Packers early. That's 6. So I'm going to go 11-6 for them. 11-6 for them. Let me pull up the Cowboys is the other team that I thought could be competent this year. Let's pull them up. All right, now we got Eagles, Giants, Bears, Packers, Jets, Panthers. See, this is why you guys were on my ass about the Cowboys being decent. The Jets, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Bears. I mean, these are wins for the Cowboys. They're going to be wins for the Cowboys, assuming they're healthy. New York Giants twice. All right, so here are the losses, I think, for the Cowboys this year. Lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Lions, lost to the Eagles. That's 3. Lost to Commanders once. That's 4. And lost to maybe the Chargers. That's 5. That's 12-5. I think the Cowboys could realistically go 11-6 or 12-5 this year. I think that's pretty realistic. I think that's pretty realistic. Yeah, Texas boy definitely tougher post bye week for you guys. Definitely tougher post bye week for you guys. But I think 11-6, 12-5 is where you'll be, which again lines up with why I predicted them to get second in the East this year. I could see it being Eagles 13-4, Cowboys 12-5, Commanders 11-6. I could see that. And then the Giants will probably be, who knows what they'll be. They lose at least 8 of those games. I think you guys are a little off on the Cowboys. I know they're not. I don't think they're ready to compete for a Super Bowl, but I don't think they're going to be that bad. But hey, John doesn't think they're going to be very good either. So maybe you're correct. 12 p.m. games. What's that? That's Texas time, my friend. That's Texas time. So those are like 1 o'clock games for us. 3:25 is 8:20s. They're in Central time. So they're an hour back. Abe says, Xander, we can't claim the NFC East division champ until the end of the season since we play the Commanders late. We have to have a better record than the Commanders the entire season until we play them. Not really true, Abe, but I hear you. I mean, if you lose both of them, it's unlikely you would win the East, but I think the Eagles will be in a good enough shape there where you could split with the Commanders late, and realistically, you could probably still lose to the Bills late if you needed to and still win. So, Brian Fleming checking in with a super. Thank you, brother. I'm looking forward to the Rams Cow Shits preseason game. Is that what their first preseason? Yeah, Saturday, August 9th. I see that there. Remember Remember when that cuck Des Bryant got punched in the face? There you go. All right, so Brian, did you just spend $5 to try and get me excited for a freaking preseason game? We're talking about 17 regular season games between 3 different teams. All right, that's like 51 games, but who's counting? And you just sent me a $5 super chat on a freaking preseason game? Come on, B-Flem! Come on, B-Flem! Alfredo, what's up, Alfredo? I love Alfredo. Alfredo's my boy. I saw your tweets last night, Alfredo. He said, Xander, Cowboys are still toilet juice. 9 wins tops. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, Alfredo, I'll be pumped if you're right. All right. Texas Boy checks in, our resident Cowboy fan this week. Texas Boy, good to have you in here. The NFL did the Giants dirty. They have back-to-back division games. The Cowboys also have back-to-back division games. Yeah. The Giants definitely got done dirty. But the Giants are going to suck anymore. All right. Who cares? That $5 was worth it with the cuck comment. There you go. There's all you corn brains. All you corn brains love stuff like that. Yes, sir. You cornies love that. Come on, man. Yo, Pumper, that's foul, bro. That's foul. We don't want that in our space. Pumper, can you come up with a better name than that? Hogan says, look at the 49ers schedule. Let me see if I can pull it up, Hogan. I'll look at it. See if I can get that sucker. Ryan, stop saying that. I don't appreciate it. It's fake news, too. Let me see if I can find their schedule. Where is their schedule? There it is. All these graphics are ugly as hell. All right, here we go. All right, here's the 49ers schedule. 49ers they open versus the Seahawks, then the Saints, then the Cardinals, Jaguars, LA. Are you kidding me? 4-0. I mean, that's maybe not 4-0, but light start. First 4 games, pretty light. Then you get a little bit tougher. You got the Rams and the Bucks. You got the Falcons, Texans, Giants, Rams again. So not awful there, but again, I don't know what the Falcons are going to be. I'm not a Michael Penix guy. I think Houston will be pretty good this year. The Giants shouldn't be much of a test for you. Rams twice. I think you guys lose both games to the Rams this year. Sorry. Cardinals, you have those guys twice, obviously, division opponent. I'm not big on the Cardinals. I'm not a big Kyler Murray guy. Panthers, Browns, then you got a week 14 bye, late bye, but not bad. Titans, Colts, Bears, and Seahawks. So not awful. Let me see if I can scroll that down. Yeah, that's not awful. That's pretty easy, honestly. I don't think that's a tough schedule at all. Hogan. I think it was Hogan. I think that was Hogan who said that. Yeah, Hogan, not bad. Not bad. That's not a bad schedule for the Niners. All right. So not too bad. All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody for being here today. I will do this. Let's see, because I know I owe you guys giveaways today. I'm still way behind on everything, so I'm digging myself a deeper hole the more I do this. But should we do one today? What's up? Yo, Boulevard, saw your post, bro. Congratulations. You and your new wife, man. That's awesome. Great wedding. Boulevard, you got some swag, my friend. All right. This guy, Boulevard. You guys don't know Boulevard off the air. This guy's got some swagger. All right. You should have seen this dude on his wedding day. My man looked fresh. All right, Boulevard. Congrats to you, brother. I appreciate you being here. Good to see you back in the house post-wedding. All right. Congrats, bro. All love. Sending love and my prayers up to you and your new wife. Hope you guys have a beautiful life together. Okay. I appreciate it, man. Xander, get on top of things. Yeah, Brandon, you're telling me. All right. And then bless us when you're up to speed. Going to be a lot of giveaways in the season. I want to do something. There's something I'm trying to work on too. That's a little bit more giveaways. I got this new Kango for my birthday. It's bamboo. And then, of course, my mom's dog chews it. First day I get it, he chews it. Fucker. You got to be kidding me. All right. You got to be kidding me. It's nice bamboo, though. It's fresh. I like it. A little navy blue action. Oh, you know what I got? Yo, Brian Pumper, are you here? You cornhead? Brian, are you here? Where's Brian Pumper? Remember I told you last week, and this is for Big Sill Show. This won't be for the Birds 365. Yo, Pump, you remember last week? And Bob Brown, where's Bob Brown? You remember last week when I told you I was going to do Bucket Hat Friday? I was doing Bucket Hat Friday. Wait till Brian Pumper sees the bucket hat I break out on the National Football Show tomorrow. All right? You guys better be there. Friday evening, 3:30 p.m., me and Big Sills, and I got a fresh new bucket hat to wear, and my guess is this. It will draw a lot of comments, all right? Some will like, some will absolutely hate it. Some will say I'm a lunatic, and I don't care, all right? Bucket Hat Friday, baby! Cape May, New Jersey. Look at that shirt. Woo! Cape May, New Jersey. It's Bucket Hat Friday. It is not pink. It is not pink. Although I do want a pink one. I like pink. It'll have a 47 on it now, but I would if they had one. Cape May is the shit. Best place on earth, A-team. All right. Well, you are a bit Looney Tune. Yes, I am, Alex. I'm happy to be a Looney Tune. All right. I'm happy to be a Looney Tune. You can make iron buckets in Minecraft. I love it, Abe. That's hilarious. I've never played Minecraft. I'm not going to lie to you. All right. Got to give it to Zander. The kid has spunk. I like that word. This guy, Ryan, this guy's a cornhead who doesn't like Jesus and doesn't have a woman. Yo, Ryan, come on, get it together. If you need to call me off the air for me to give you some help or whatever, talk you through some things, just give me a ring, my friend. All right? Fucking shitty ass takes. Blue Virus! What up, my boy? Blue is back. Yo, Blue, I was talking about you yesterday, Blue. I was talking about you yesterday. My fucking boy, Blue. He's back. I got to stop cursing. I'm trying to stop. Can you guys hold me accountable in the chat? I'm trying to stop cursing. I'm trying to stop cursing. Bro, those Dallas Cowboys colors look good on you, though. Listen, you guys don't own the color navy blue. I love navy blue. All right? I like navy blue. But, Blue, it's good to have you back in here, my friend. You guys got a decent schedule, Blue. I got us splitting this year, Blue. I got you guys winning that Week 12 game in Dallas. All right? Wow, you talked him up. Yeah, I told Blue. Blue's a good guy. Fly Eagles, you know how me and Blue met? Well, obviously he came on the channel, but, he comes in and he goes, hey, fuck you, guy. And then I started going back and forth with him. I started saying, yeah, fuck you too. Here I go again, cursing again. I mean, you guys are a terrible influence on me. Curse all you want. I don't want to curse, man. You don't need to curse. You don't need to curse. I'm trying to not curse, all right? I'm trying to not. I'll let John and Celia do the cursing. You need to stop cursing for Christ. You're right. All right? Blue got smoked, LMAO. No, he didn't. He got smoked the first day he was here, yeah. But then he became a member. That was cool. All right. We got a pause. We got another pause account in the chat. Cosby. What the heck? Blue, what do you got for your record? Blue, give me the predict the Cowboys record right now. Right here on JAKIB Sports. Blue Virus's official Eagle or Cowboys record prediction is what? Is what? 0-17. 0-17. That's hilarious. 1-16. There you go. Zander is acting like Zip. Yeah, Prince, go back to the corner, my friend. Prince, you're in the cuck corner for at least the next 4 days. All right? You can maybe get out on Monday. Maybe, Prince. Maybe. But after Johnny Mac put you in a blender today, twisted you like a Philly soft pretzel, you ain't getting out of the corner, dog. Get back over there. All right? 10-7. All right. I actually had you a little bit better than that, but Boy, if Cowboys fans are lower on them than me, I might have to reassess. I had you guys maybe 11-6 because I really want you guys to beat the Commanders in the East this year. I know that sounds crazy from an Eagles fan, but I am so sick of these Commanders fans who act like they've been the best team in the East for 2 decades. You guys had one good season. All right, let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm not sold that team is here to stay. I do think Jane Daniels is good, though. All right. I do think Jane Daniels is good. That's not my motivation, Josh. That's not my motivation. Dan, Abe says, damn, Xander, how's a Cowgirls fan have a worse score than you? I don't know, Abe. Cry about it, Abe. Good night. A lot of tears coming from you recently, Abe. Between Abe and Flexen and Sue and Prince, I mean, the tears in the chat. It's like, good night. Good night. I mean, you guys cry more than Izzy. You cry more than Izzy. Are you kidding me? Abe, I got to keep Abe on his toes. Yeah, shots fired at Abe. Nothing personal. All right, you got to keep him on his toes. Got to keep him on his toes. Same with Flex. I'll tell you what, Abe and Flex. Let me tell both of you something though. I don't like when you two fight. All right. I like when there's beef in the chat. I don't like when you two fight because I like both of you guys. All right. I don't like when you two fight. Abe and Flex. I'm putting a cement wall between you two. No more fighting between Abe and Flex. All right. If you dish it, you got to take it. Yeah. Well, both of you. That can apply to both of you. All right. Lucky you. Abe, you still sound like you're a little butthurt, Abe. All right. All right, Abe. Good stuff. All right, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. All right. Should we do a giveaway? Should I do one or should I wait? I think I might wait. I can't wait to break out this bucket hat. Brian Pumper's going to lose his mind. Bob Brown made the shit. Oh, here he is. Bob Brown made the crappy insult to me that I looked like a homeless guy, which I don't appreciate at all, Bob. That was a shitty take by you, by the way. I mean, come on. Homeless people are people too. Come on. But Bob, you're not going to like my next bucket hat. All right. I'll tell you that. If you don't like the black and white one, which sits on the perch right there, you're not going to like my next bucket hat. You will not like it, but you'll be excited to see it. All right. Fly Eagle says, I told you, Z, we'll fight, but we'll all be at the table for dinner. That's good. That's love. All right. All right. I'm dead. This diddler's out of here. I'm getting this diddler out of here. Sounds like a C24 diddler. All right. Bob Brown, I see you. Bro, I want that blue one that's hanging on the wall. What, this one? I got like 10 blue ones, dude. Look, 1, 2. That's kind of blue. This is blue. I got so many blues. I got like too many blues. This is nice, though. This is real nice. Who's diddling? Probably Pumper. Or Ryan. Ryan's like always diddling. The guy's like a certified diddler. All right. Protect yourself from Ryan. The guy's a diddler. Don't be a diddler. If you're in this chat, you're not allowed to be a diddler or else you're out. You're out. All right. We don't block anybody, but we don't allow diddlers, which is why Ryan's in the crosshairs. Ryan, you should have thought about that before your crappy comments. All right. Did Abe and Flex make up? Are you guys buddies again, or are you guys certified hate? You guys hate each other now. You guys got certified beef forever. I will be the peacemaker. Nominate me for a Nobel. Abe, Flex, you guys both want to join the stream right now? We can mitigate this. I got your number. Flex, I got your email, Abe. I'll send you a link right now. All right? You let me know. You let me know. All right, good. No beef, no hate. All right, all good. All good. That makes me feel better. Whenever someone puts a funny, if it's Ryan diddling, it's extra small diddling. Well, that's better than regular size diddling. All right. That's good. All right, I'm getting out of here. I'm done. I got a long drive to make this afternoon. So, all right, I'm heading down the shore. Everybody. I'm going today, so I'll be doing the rest of my work this week from down there. I probably won't be in the studio. I'm excited though. I love the shore. I got to go in and get the house ready. I got to do yard work, all sorts of bullshit. But I'm excited to go down for sure, man. So looking forward to it. I just talked to their rep, Brian. They're coming back. No, we'll have 365 tomorrow. I work, bro. I work anywhere I am. It doesn't matter where I am. I work. I worked in vacation in Lake Placid, and I'll work when I'm down in Cape May. All right. So Brian, I talked to their manager the other day. They're supposed to come back. They're giving me a new spot, so they'll be back in the stop sets. I love that song. Wild, wild, wildwood days. That's a great song. All right. That's a great song. Hogan says, good show. Thank you, Hogan. I appreciate it, brother. All right. All right, you guys we're too off the charts today. All right, I got to get out of here. You guys are making me queasy. I miss James Carver too. Yeah, Carver reaches out to me. I still talk to Carver, Cody. Carver, he's an awesome dude. I pray for him often, man, because he's had a lot of shit that he's had, man. He's got like leg surgeries constantly. I mean, it's tough. So he's battling through. Cody K. But yeah, he's all good though. He's all good. He reaches out to me here and there. So I've talked to him recently. I talked to him, I think, at the draft. So a couple weeks ago at the draft. But all good. Carver is the man though. He's a great dude. He's a really great dude. All right. I think we'll do 2 tomorrow, maybe. Well, I'm going to be down the shore, so I got to bring him. All right. All right, my guy. Have a good one. Drive safe. Thank you, Blue. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Yo, Blue, it's all fun now, but when that season opener comes, you guys are going to get your ass handed to you. All right? You're going to get your ass handed to you. I appreciate all of you guys. Hit the like button. Each and every one of you. Twiz, my boy Twiz, flexing and stepping, as always. Big Abe. Abe, I love you, Abe. Even if I bashed you today, Abe, I love you, brother. Jammers, B. Howe, Cody K, Dank, Bird Gang 91. Love Dank. Appreciate you, Dank. Brian Fleming, Prince, you had a great day yesterday. All right, you trolled me, you trolled Sills. Johnny Mac just put you in a pretzel today, my friend. He really did. He turned you into a pretzel. So it's unfortunate for you. Ryan, I love you, but I'm going to pick on you. I appreciate you, brother. Francis later. A-Team, thank you for all your support, man. I love you. Bird Gang girl, I appreciate you. All you guys, thank you all so much for being here. Hit that like button, and I will see you all tomorrow on a Football Friday edition of Birds 365. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.